Development Authority, September 21st, 2021, monthly meeting. At this time, I will open the floor for any speakers who have signed up before 3 o'clock yesterday with the ministers. So no speakers for our public comment period. This is our annual meeting, and at this time, we'll get a report from the nominating committee. Hunter, would you?
Okay. Well, I'm going to be nominating the chair, Lisa Murphy, vice chair, Joseph Drain, treasurer, William Burkett, secretary, David Brown, assistant secretary, Taylor Franklin, and assistant secretary, Taylor Adams. So I need a motion, right?
Thank you. Yes, the nominations are on the floor. We need a motion and a second.
So move.
Thank you, Ms. Wood. We've got a motion from Dot Wood and a second.
Second.
Second from Gunter. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you to the committee. At this time, we'll review and approve the minutes from our last meeting, our August 17th meeting.
Move to approve. Second.
Thank you, Bill. We've got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Who was the motion on that?
It was Bill. Thank you, second one, Joe Strange. This time, we'll receive a report on our financials.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the authority. For this month, we're going to report out on the cash receipts and the cash disbursements. You have 2 months worth of rent from VB National. You have the $500,000 payment, as you know, you received in August from Vanguard Landing, and a bond administrative fee from the Norfolk EDA. In terms of disbursements, we have your stipends, utilities for some of our properties, the cable landing maintenance agreement with Global Links, some small bank fees, and then a transfer of rent that happens, I believe, annually to the city treasurer. Next month, we will have the full auditor's report of the fiscal year 21 for your review. So we'll be reviewing those books, and also happy to report that we will be interviewing accountants between now and hopefully the next meeting. So stand by for any questions you might have.
Wonderful. Thank you, Brian. Any questions for Brian?
Madam Chair, if I may just express our gratitude to Mr. Bunton for his assistance in giving us additional sources of potential, accountants that could fill our job. As you all know, we've been looking for a minute, and so with his assistance and also Brian and Kathy's hard work, we've got 4 folks that we believe meet the minimum qualifications. So we're happy to be scheduling those interviews now.
Well, it sounds like our experience really isn't any different than the businesses in our community. Everybody's having a hard time.
That's absolutely true, and it's not just our department; it's citywide. We're having the same struggles everyone else is.
All right. Thank you. Any questions for Brian? Good to hear. We'll be getting an accountant. Next item is a briefing from Mr. Williams on the flood protection program. That 10 times fast.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the authority. Thank you for giving me some time on your agenda this morning. The City Council has put a bond referendum question on the ballot in November, and they've asked that staff, as we're working on education for that we visit boards and commissions, have public forums, and citizens. So a little bit of introduction. Obviously, our city is no stranger to flooding, whether it's tidal influenced or the more intense rainstorms that we're experiencing, or the southern watershed wind tides. And we've had a stormwater program that's been supported by a stormwater rate for a number of years. However, Hurricane Matthew was a real wake-up call. And after that, City Council, over several budget cycles, increased the amount of capital improvements that we were having in our capital improvement program, to the point that it's the top infrastructure area that we put in our CIP right now at 23% of our capital improvement program. However, it's not enough in order to attack the risk and the vulnerabilities that that remain particularly in the interior of our city where we have undersized pipes in certain neighborhoods. And so the city council asked us to put together a financing package that could accelerate investment in infrastructure. And we put together this package, and it costs $567.5 million. And it means that we could do it in 10 years, what would take otherwise 40 years. We have a charter limitation, though, in that we can only, as a city, issue the amount of general obligation bonds equal to the amount that we retire in the previous fiscal year, plus $10 million. We typically retire about $65 million, so that would be about 75, and that's simply not enough to attack the risk that we have. So I'm going to pause right here and play a video for you that would probably otherwise take me about 45 minutes. It was a PowerPoint. This is 8 minutes. We'll give you an overview of the whole package and the risk, and then I'll take questions.
Virginia's largest city by population is battling a chronic water crisis. Not too little water, like some places, but too much. Virginia Beach faces the greatest risk for major flooding of any metro area on the East Coast because of more frequent and more destructive storms, along with rising sea levels. Existing stormwater infrastructure just can't keep up with it all. The flooding affects everyone citywide, turning Virginia Beach roads into streams, creating dangerous conditions for drivers, sometimes cutting off whole neighborhoods. Even on sunny days, high winds are known to trigger rising water. Small rainstorms often create minor flooding, but bigger storms bring so much water that they damage our homes, cars, and businesses. This recurrent flooding also threatens the health of the Virginia Beach economy. More than 15,000 civilian employees work at military bases here. Millions of tourists flock to our beaches and attractions every year. And major employers like Geico, Centerra, and Steel gravitate here, enjoying the low cost of doing business in Virginia Beach. But they all have one thing in common: a need for passable roads and a community safe from floods. FEMA analysis projects that up to 1 in every 10 buildings in Virginia Beach is currently at risk of damage if a large storm hit today. That number climbs to 1 in 4 when combined with a sea level rise of 1.5 feet. And the damage risk jumps to 2 out of every 3 homes and other buildings if the sea level rises 3 feet. Virginia Beach is tackling flooding head on. The city is already investing more money in stormwater projects than it invests in any other area. City engineers say recently completed projects show significant improvements. To keep ahead of this threat, the City of Virginia Beach wants to accelerate and expand work to address additional flood challenges. A City Council authorized referendum on flood protection for voters to consider is on the November ballot. It's an aggressive, multi-generational flood protection program to speed up existing flood and stormwater controls while adding new projects as well. City leaders believe the proposed flood protection program will have a ripple effect that safeguards homes, protects businesses, and responsibly addresses stormwater issues for generations to come. Voters will decide on November 2nd whether the city can issue what's called general obligation bonds for up to $567.5 million. This bond referendum would pay for 21 major projects and other improvements in 6 major areas. They would be built over the next 10 years on a timetable far shorter than current schedules, all to provide Virginia Beach with fiscally sustainable, long-term flood protection. The flood protection referendum will allow for existing resources to remain in place and be redirected to focus on stormwater maintenance efforts. The city will also report back to Virginia Beach residents tracking progress, schedules, and budgets. This comprehensive flood protection program is on the ballot in Virginia Beach this November 2nd. Depending on the final terms of the bond issue, property taxes in Virginia Beach will rise between 4.3 and 6.4 cents. This translates into about $10 to $14 more a month for property owners, or about $115 to $171 more in property tax each year. Without these improvements, flooding will be increasingly harder to control, and the fixes will take longer, creating a less desirable ripple effect. The estimated average losses due to stormwater flood hazards in Virginia Beach today are already about $437 million a year, according to a recent study. If the city does nothing, with a 1.5-foot sea level rise, those losses could reach $616 million and grow to $1.66 billion in losses with a sea level rise of 3 feet in Virginia Beach. However, the Flood Protection Program bond referendum aims to minimize the risk of flooding, reduce damage, and better protect the entire Virginia Beach community. Here are projects as listed in Phase 1 of the Flood Protection Program referendum. First, in the Lincoln Bay Drainage Basin, improvements along First Colonial Road and Oceana Boulevard include building a new stormwater management facility to divert stormwater and provide more runoff storage. Improvements in the SeaTac neighborhood include installing or replacing large drainage pipes to collect more runoff. And in the Central Beach District, projects include improvements to the 24th Street culvert, construction of major stormwater collection systems, pump stations, and an ocean outfall system to combat flooding. Next, along Eastern Shore Drive, residents will notice improvements in stormwater collection and a brand new pump station. And at Chubb Lake and Lake Bradford, look for drain and culvert improvements, tide control devices, and new detention ponds, along with new pump stations. In the southern watershed, the plan calls for new floodgates and levees at the West Neck Creek Bridge, a part of the city's sea level-wise adaptation strategy. Also in the works, significant improvements to stormwater, green infrastructure, including a marsh restoration project in Back Bay. The flood protection plan also calls for raising Pungo Ferry Road and improvements to the Sand Bridge, New Bridge intersection. At Windsor Woods, Princess Anne Plaza, and the lakes, plans call for turning the Bow Creek Golf Course into a park with stormwater storage. A new tide gate, pump station, and tide barriers will be built along London Bridge Creek. A new flood control gate will be constructed along Holland Road at the lakes, along with new earth and concrete flood barriers in the lakes and Windsor Woods. The city also plans a new stormwater pump station near Lake Windsor and South Boulevard, and flood control improvements at Dahlia Creek and Lake Trashmore. To help you navigate the decision, learn more about the November bond referendum and the flood protection program. Visit www.vbgov.com/ripple effect.
A couple weeks ago, the City Council adopted a companion resolution to give further direction if the referendum passes. And the first of which is that if it passes, that there be a separate appropriation unit established, essentially a lockbox for the proceeds of these bonds to go in to make sure they're explicitly used for the projects that are named in the question, which actually legally we have to do anyway because the projects are listed in the question. Secondly, that the stormwater rate currently would be capped at the current rate this year and until 2028 before it could be increased. That there be established a citizen oversight board, that we make amendments to reflect the improvements that we're making with this package in our comprehensive plan. And then also that the city manager bring an acquisition strategy that can make sure that it aligns with acceleration, including different approaches such as watershed packages or even a single contractor that would do this work. So I have our Stormwater Center Administrator, Tony Utterback, with us, and our Budget Director, Kevin Chatelier. I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you. Any questions for Ron or for the team? Bill's got a question.
Just a quick question. On the proposed increase in the real estate tax base, is that going to be dedicated or set aside in some way only for the retirement of this debt, or is it just going to kind of flow into the general fund and become part of the overall budget process?
That's still to be determined, but it likely will be a dedication. That's typically how we've done that. We currently have part of the real estate tax rate dedicated to support our stormwater, so it probably would similarly align, especially because we'll have that special appropriation unit and we need the coverage for that.
Okay, thank you.
And in that resolution that the council adopted, they did give us direction that they prefer the 20-year issuance versus 10, which would be the 4.3 cents for the coverage.
Thank you.
Ron, very nice presentation. Everyone here is well connected with communities and all that sort of thing. Maybe some folks might want to forward this video, because I think the video is outstanding, to your Civic League or some of your other organizations to be shared, because we've really got to get the word out for this, because people are going to go to vote and this is going to be on the ballot, and they may not be informed. So is there a way that this video can be sent out to everyone?
The simplest way to share it is you can go to vbgov.com, and right on the front page there's a water droplet that says Flood Protection Program. Click that and it brings you to the website that has the video, the brochure, some frequently asked questions, and some other shorter video snippets as well. So that's our whole collection right there.
So just encourage you to please help get the word out.
Is there any organized opposition to this, the way there have been for some previous
Not that I know of.
Everyone, all residents will also be receiving a mailer in the next few days that was sent out yesterday. And we have a significant digital TV, digital media campaign that's rolling out as we speak as well.
Any more questions for Ron? You know, it is a citywide problem, really. I mean, it's not just a shore drive or an ocean front or a problem in a specific part of the city. It affects all of us. So I was impressed at the expansiveness of the different parts of the program, and the fact that it really is all over the city that we're going to be implementing this solution in the project. So I think that's impressive. And I think as Councilwoman Wilson said, if anybody's got a group that they want Ron to speak to, I know you talked to Virginia Beach Vision. I'm sure you've been all over the city now making the same presentation, but I think it's very effective.
And one point I should have added is, so these projects that we call in phase one in the referendum package are connected to and complement what we currently have in our CIP, but then also have additional projects that come in the future, phase two, as we call that. Our ability to get that $500-some million of capacity enables us to reissue that in the future as we retire this debt. Because of our charter limits, we would have that capacity and we can start to attack this over several decades.
So this is really a well thought out.
And your stormwater fee is going to be frozen
Yep.
up to 2027, is that right?
28.
How much of that whole thing is like a regional approach? Like, I mean, we have Norfolk, we have other cities that have the same problem.
We have similar problems, but different. Predominantly, a core part of this package is addressing two unique things. First of all, is the interior of our city, where we have the standards about which the neighborhoods were built in the 60s and 70s, and they can't keep up with the more intense rainstorms that we have now. Then we have the southern wind tides that we have to address down in the Back Bay area. And then, of course, we do have tidal flooding that's similar to some other cities up in Eastern Shore Drive. And so the common elements that we might see from sea level rise are a few decades out that will have that impact, for that outer ring, floodgates and things of that nature that localities like Norfolk are working with. So we do have some common groupthink on those approaches and our analyses. But right now, we've really just got to fix our own pipes first.
Great. Any other questions for Ron? Thank you,
All right,
Ron.
thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Now we'll get an update and a briefing from Taylor Adams. Good morning, Taylor.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the authority. Extend thanks and gratitude to my colleague Ron Williams, who it's great to see him back in our offices, and great to see us with us for another VBDA meeting. And so appreciate Ron coming and sharing those thoughts on stormwater. I'm going to move through this pretty quickly because I know that we have a full agenda today, but we owe you an update to a strategy, to an update to the economic development strategy for this office that you all funded as part of your last budget. That work is complete. In fact, it went well enough that we added out of the operating budget an additional piece of work around real estate, and have since now, given some of the workforce challenges that we're seeing across the community, we're adding on, and what's great is this was something that was originally costed as part of the work, an additional piece of work around a deep dive into our workforce and potential sources of new labor and where we need to be focused on those training efforts. Quick refresh, TIP Strategies we hired out of Austin, Texas. Why did we hire them? This is a firm that has specialized in large agency economic development strategy, but also when we look at the sample clients here, you can see vast, a wealth of experience in our market in the Mid-Atlantic, and we were also very interested. Greenville County, South Carolina, one of the hottest, basically one of the hottest industrial markets in the Mid-Atlantic and in the eastern part of the U.S. What did we look at? Three sort of buckets of analysis. One, our quantitative analysis. I'll let you all read that. That quantitative analysis was then validated through stakeholder input, but also compare, contrast, identify gaps, and then our real estate review that I mentioned just a moment ago. The framework started with a simplification of our vision. You all remember our prior vision was long and our mission was longer, and so now it's just very simple. Virginia Beach is a global destination for premier investment, talent, innovation, and jobs. On our mission, the recommended mission through their research would be that the Department of Economic Development drives economic vitality and inclusive prosperity in the city by fostering the attraction and creation of new investment, innovation, and jobs. One of the things we really like about this is the first time that we've actually seen a term focusing on inclusivity added to our mission. This is important. Our last strategy, as you all remember, was about 15 years old. Since then, the city has done a disparity study. 3 of the recommendations coming out of the disparity study refer directly to us building a more inclusive economy, and we see that flow through our mission here, and you'll see more of that as it relates to tactics that come through around the VB Hive that I'll talk about in just a moment. But beyond that, again, a simplification of the mission. Attract capital and create jobs. I mean, which is, at the end of the day, if we're doing that, everything else seems to take care of itself. Our goals: local business growth and entrepreneurship, domestic international business development, site and infrastructure development and management, and then, of course, our talent and workforce. And I should tell you, as I'm moving through this quickly, we will obviously post a copy of this, as well as the complete study, to our website for everyone's in-depth review following this. I won't read all of these, but as it relates to local business growth and entrepreneurship, we understand that at the base of what we do, and the pedestal, sort of a governing thought throughout everything, is caring for the business community that we have in the present. Once you're here, we want to make sure that Virginia Beach is the economy that allows you to thrive and grow here, because you made a commitment to us, you're employing people here, you're paying taxes here. So
as it relates to growth and entrepreneurship, we're going to expand our local business visitation program. This is something we wanted to announce as part of this. We've not had as robust a set of data as we needed regarding what our industries are experiencing on the ground real time. So these aren't lunches and dinners. This is basically sitting down with CEOs, gathering information that we need to on the pulse of the health of the broader economy. We want to raise the profile of our retention and expansion program, and also the VB Hive. What's the VB Hive? That's the new, most of you know, that's the new small business center that we're opening right here in our town center, which is really where we thought it would be something like an incubator when we started it. It's really shaping up to be more of a community center for business, where businesses, where people that are interested in starting business can come and gather information, but also where businesses that are growing can come and can find resources. But and then finally, also we're through our partnership with the Regional Workforce Council, it's a place where we're able to pair either unemployed or underemployed members of our community with the places in our economy that are hiring, but also with educational opportunities that help them better compete for the jobs that they define as successful for themselves. I won't read you the rest of these, but we'll jump into domestic international business development. This is what we talk to you about. I won't read much of this because this is what we talk to you about every month when you gather, but I do want to take a minute to talk about a shift in the international recruiting strategy. You all will remember 3 years ago, we promised you a change in this strategy to something that was more multiplier based. And what does multiplier mean? We've rebuilt our international business attraction program around relationships with trade associations, industrial trade associations, that help us better identify companies that are ready to expand to the United States. But through that program, we've completely rebuilt our consultant pool. I won't read the rest of this to you. I'll basically just say, in the past, where we would go for an opportunity to do prospecting at trade shows, now we let our consultants do that for us. And the team only travels when we have an adequate number, an appropriate number of companies that have been identified that want to meet with us, that are interested in expanding to Virginia Beach. That is beginning to bear fruit. We presently have in the pipeline 44 international companies that with 11 of those projects being probable. So let me give you some information. What is 40? To be on this list of the 44 companies, that means we think that there's a better than 30% chance that we can locate you here. That's not, we define probable as better than 2/3 chance that we can get you here. And so we're very happy to see this pipeline maturing. So again, with 50 active prospects, that is by a long shot the largest number of true active international prospects that we have ever had. And again, this is the current state of the pipeline. And it's important to note that we have some results that are starting to come through. One company, following a future action on this agenda that we hope you will take, is ready to name, it's an English company, is ready to name Virginia Beach as its North American headquarters. It's a wonderful thing for us. They'll start within the neighborhood of, I think it's 6 employees in the present, but we'll have 30 by the end of the year or within 18 months. So this is a company that is in the data management and analytics business. So again, high-paying jobs, a great new corporate citizen. This company's already had vast success in Britain and in the continent, and they're now naming us their North American headquarters. So we're very excited about that. Two other projects that we think will finish very shortly. One in Spain, one in Germany, but also thanks to those of you that participated with us in the offshore wind weekend around the International Partnering Forum. It was in Richmond. Here's what's great. We had 113 companies visit Virginia Beach. 7 countries were represented. We spent a lot of money that weekend, but generally for us to see 113 companies, it would involve us traveling to Europe about 10 times, which would cost well more than what we spent. And also, the goal of that trip
the goal of those overseas missions are to get them here. And so here we had 113 companies that were here. Also, we were able to arrange a nice moment for the Minister of Commerce and Trade for the Basque region of Spain, and which is where basically the offshore wind industry in Spain and in Europe really was born and is still sort of the heart of the offering. So there was Virginia's Secretary of Commerce and Trade signed an MOU at IPF with the Basque Minister, and that's a little matchmaking that we were able to do. What does that weekend mean? 6 projects in the renewable energy sector coming out of that weekend, we believe will locate in Virginia Beach. So one of them has already signed a lease. We're working on the announcement for that now. We have 2 more that we think will sign a lease within the next month, and then we have the others that we anticipate will be completed before the end of the year. And so what I will tell you is that if I can take a moment to brag on my team a little bit, they did all this work. I mean, I showed up when they told me to, but it is the team that we have built here over the last 3 years that has delivered this. And I will tell you, there's no city in America that wouldn't happily trade places with us right now to have 7 international companies truly locating within the first opportunities in the U.S. locating here in most cases, before the end of the year. And so I see Ray White's over there. Ray, Laura Hayes, as you all know, as most of you know, had a baby about a week ago, so she's not with us today. We'll give her an excused absence for that one.
She might be watching.
I hope she's watching, because again, Ray, Laura, Isan, Charlie, I mean, our two new additions in Paige and Devin, obviously on Ray's team, Letitia, and then of course we got Brian and Kathy, and I mean, this is a big week for us, and so I'm just so proud of the work that this team has done to deliver this kind of economic growth in our community in such a short window. And so I just want to say thank you to the team for everything that they've done there. I won't, like I say, I know that we got a packed agenda. It's no secret I'm about out of dirt. The problems we have are the problems you want. We're citing prospects so quickly that we're very quickly running out of industrial property. This is really a conversation with City Council as much as it is with the authority, just to let you all know that it's front of mind for us and we're working through it. And then I will tell you, one of the things that we've got to note here is, again, so proud of this team. Over the last 3 years, we've been able to announce about $400 million worth of new capital investment in our economy and 2,800 jobs. Most of those are in manufacturing and industry. That's a significant enough saturation of industrial uses that we think that will drive more professional office use. And so you will see us talking more about the recruiting of office tenants in the coming months. I won't spend any time on tax increment finance. That was something City Council asked for, but that was just principles of a TIF. And then also talent and workforce. We just know that we need more. I mean, and it's not just us. I mean, the numbers that I saw last week, over 10 million available jobs in the United States right now. So we know that there is a considerable pressure and real competition for labor across the country. So I won't bog you all down with all of that. There was a page here on a tool that we'll be deploying. For time's sake, I won't show it here today, but there is one of the other things this company has done for us is they've built us, think of it as here we go, it's an economic dashboard. And here's what's great about it. As you can see, we worked with them to identify the core factors that most companies want to know about a market before they locate there. What's great about this, these are also the things, if you're interested in moving here or you're interested in working here, these are also the things that I would want to know and that most people would want to know about an economy if they are looking at moving their family there. So we've distilled all that down to one place, and we're going to deploy this on our website with your permission. What's great about this is, now I will tell you everything in here, on every one of these tabs, the data source is cited. Anything that's census related in this at present is the 19 update to the 2010 census. Obviously, there's the 2020 census will be published very shortly. As soon as that's published, this will automatically update. and we will have the most current data available, and we'll keep it current. We're gonna pay to ensure that this data is always, that this is also always the most current data that we can lay our hands on. But this, for us, we think is a huge step forward in the professionalization of the work here in Virginia Beach, and the focus that we're doing going forward, and our new principles around industrial recruiting. So we're very happy to deploy that. With that, for the sake, again, I'll stop talking and take any questions. Whew.
Got a question from Bill.
I can't read that chart, but do you have reference, do you have reference on that to our school system?
So, we have, yes, so what we have is educational attainment. I do not have VBC, Virginia Beach City Public Schools data deployed here at present. We just didn't get that far, but it's certainly something that can be bolted on as well.
I think it'd be important. It is clearly a key factor. And a number of years ago, there was a study done by the school system that talked about the economic impact that a public school system has on its community. And it might be nice to link those two together because they are closely tied. And it's been a number of years since that report, so it may be dated, maybe it needs some updating, but it was a very useful piece of information that dovetail well with this.
So we have city public schools data on the website separate from the Tableau reader at present. But I think, but Mr. Bunky, I think that's a great idea to incorporate the two. Makes a lot of sense. So we'll take that under advisement. Charlie, you got it? Thanks. Yes, sir.
Workforce obviously is a very important component. Without that, it's very difficult to attract companies. And I know the whole country has these challenges. Have we looked into or studied what we're lacking, what would create more people to come here to work, or better yet, just stay here as opposed to leaving?
So we have just commissioned that work. That is the next piece of analysis that TIP will do for us. What's great, because they now have a full run of sort of what our economy is, how it functions, where our current employment is, where our future employment is likely to be. They are beginning, right now, we think it'll take them another 6 weeks to give us that deep dive into the workforce. Mr. Standing, to your point, it should give us the opportunity to help those that want to stay here, but also one of the things that we're seeing when we dive into the Virginia Employment Commission data is that right now, in Virginia Beach at least, we don't have enough unemployed people to take the jobs that are available in the present. So a big part of this study will be new locations from which we can attract new labor to come and locate here and take these jobs.
And so as a follow-up to that, this data and this information is more for the businesses that would be coming here and the people that would be coming here. How do we target the job seekers? Because I mean, Mr. Standing's right. We do have a situation now where we need people to fill these jobs, and so we need to start attracting not just the businesses, but we need to start attracting people that can do the jobs.
And thank you for that question. I would tell you, I do think that's got to be a regional solution. So for example, and excuse me, Councilmember, I saw that you wanted to jump in.
I think too, we have a really great opportunity. We spend quite a bit of money on advertising people come to the ocean, come here as tourism. And to say it's not only a great place to visit, but a great place to live. And to team up.
Yes, ma'am.
And put those messages together so people think when they come here, let me look at this place. Hey, it would be nice to live here. Every day could be a vacation.
And so, yes, ma'am, thank you. And to expand on that, to answer your question, and this is where it's important for me to note this part. I guess I'm always a public servant. Here's the thing. The answer to this question is not going to be something that my city council has heard, nor is it something that we've had a chance to validate specifically, but anecdotally, I believe you'll find that this is borne out in data in numerous sort of census tracts, but I should probably, to the extent that it's possible, say that I'm speaking as an individual here, and this is my individual opinion. So to answer your question, housing drives population, right? You gotta have a place for people to live.
Right.
And so when I look at the Virginia Employment Commission data today, what I see is that that our citywide unemployment rate is again below 3.5%. That's on the most current look at the data, which I think is, it's August data at this point, I believe, could be July. That said, it's less than 60 days old. So we're back below 3.5% unemployment. That's on a labor force of roughly 230,000. The peak labor in this community was 237,000 in February of 2019 going into the pandemic. We saw our workforce, our total labor force fall to 220-ish thousand, 222, 220 in the worst part of the pandemic, but we've been steadily gaining back. When we were at a labor force of 220, we also, I think we saw peak unemployment of about 12% in April of 2019. Fast forward to today, we're back under 3.5%, and that's on a labor force of 230,000 people. Also, when I look at this data and I look at housing occupancy and housing stock, what I can tell you is growth for us is about having places for people to live. And without me, it's going to be difficult for us to solve this present with Virginia Beach, or solve this problem with native Virginia Beach residents without meaningful gains in housing stock. So that I'm not running afoul of City Council, I'll stop short of saying that offering an opinion on the specific types of housing stock that are needed. I would just tell you that that more housing stock is needed, and there are some experts in this space at the table that can speak to this far better than I can. But anecdotally, looking at the data, and also when I look across the region at places where you have higher unemployment rates, city by city, generally I think you'll find that housing is a factor. And so that said, though, it's a problem we got to solve. And so and for us to continue for our economy to continue growing, we've got to have more people here to take the jobs. I mean, it's just that simple.
We also have to think of the people that are here that have become much more successful. And they might not live in our city, but we're happy to have their businesses in our city.
That's absolutely right. And also it's important that as our population ages, we have a lot of people that are retiring, that have high income, that spend a lot of money, thank goodness, but are not interested in being part of our labor force anymore, and nor should we expect them to. Anyway, I've said enough on that.
So we'll work on housing stock, and to Mrs. Wilson's point, how about visit for a week, stay for a lifetime?
That's perfect.
We can combine the two campaigns.
The wrong profession.
All right, and I won't charge for that. Any other questions for Taylor?
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. All right, next item we have is a briefing on our Bio Accelerator. Devin, good morning.
Good morning, everybody. I'll be brief. So I just wanted to bring back a Bio Accelerator update. I did not have music, but go to the next slide. We are hosting an open house tomorrow for higher ed professors to hopefully work on some partnerships there. That will be tomorrow. We are working through our partnership with Virginia Bio, so I will go over that in our update on that side. We do have a tenant application for an office space, so they're not able to use our lab space, but they're able to use our office space, and that's what they would like to do. Our lab space just doesn't have the certifications for the science that they do. We are working on an MOU for international network, so that does align with our strategy that Taylor just reviewed. And so what we want that to be is when the trade organization is a member of our accelerator, then their companies have access to what we do. You can go to the next slide. So this is the overview of our Virginia Bio membership. I wanted to bring attention to, we are a sponsor for Thrive. That is actually a carryover from this springtime, so it will carry over to the rescheduled event since they had to cancel due to COVID. We are a sponsor of Women Building Bio, which is next Thursday. That's going to be a virtual conference. And then as part of our bio, when we renew our membership in November, it will include tenants getting access to Virginia Bio under our membership for their first year as a tenant. That means they'll have access to discounted purchasing programs, access to the database, and we'll have member pricing for meetings and events with Virginia Bio. You go inside. As we work through our international MOU, like I said, it is a part of our strategy. We do see some trade organizations that are bio-specific in the international space, and we would like them to be a member of, very similar to what we are with Virginia Bio for our tenants. It would give the companies as members of their trade organization access to our programming. We will have international specific programming, helping companies understand how to break into the US market, meaning what you need to go through with FDA and any kind of regulations that we have here that may differ from their home country. It will also allow them to have a US address and use co-working space. This is a hope to cultivate these prospects for expansion in the US market and making Virginia Beach their US headquarters. And then just any questions?
Thank you, Devin. It's
great.
great to get an update and to have some exciting news to announce. Any questions for Devin?
It's great, Devin.
Thank you so much. Looks like you're, Brian, thank you. Good morning.
Sure. Good morning again. Madam Chair, members of the authority. On behalf of Charlie and Nissan, I'd like to, who have advanced the project to this point. Also like to introduce Sybil Pappas and with executive leadership with HRT, and Kim Benassi, the broker with Coyotes International that's speaking of part of the project, and actually the project applicant, and here are your disclosures on the folks involved in this project. And so what it is a Southside bus operating facility for Hampton Roads Transit. It's 11 acres. It's part of a larger parcel that would be subdivided out in your corporate land and business park. The purchase price for a letter of intent that's been submitted is $200,000 per acre, or the appraised value. And the capital investment right now is looking at about $47 million, with the potential, depending on some pending grants, for that to be much more. And at full build out, we're looking at 120 new jobs coming to that facility. And a good percentage of the buses that will be operating out of there will be zero emissions, 100% electric buses. Fast forward to the project purpose real quick. It's kind of twofold as to why this project is here before you. One is to support a new dedicated funding source for a regional transit system that is 13 routes on the peninsula and especially on the south side that would provide a 15-minute frequency throughout the regional 6-city network, especially during morning commute times and evening commute times. And it's also to support a facility that's really busting at the seams in the middle of your borough at 14th Street and Parks, to relocate that trolley maintenance and staging facility as well as the fueling. And it's been a mainstay in HRT's capital improvement program for some time. It's another aspect of the project. It would meet, the development would meet the new corporate landing design guidelines. What's really interesting about this facility is that it would, it's looking like 100% offshore wind powered from the CVAL project that would be purchased from Dominion Energy. And there's an opportunity in terms of being a partner in the corporate landing business park to cost participate in a rear access road to the south and stormwater management improvements. Now the one aspect of this that is unique is that it will not be subject to the real estate tax, but we do see that supporting the regional transit system, it really for Virginia Beach supports our tourism industry, especially the service industry in our hotels, and it's also a mainstay in getting folks to school in terms of Tidewater Community College, higher education, as well as the retail industry. It will require land use application approval from City Council, a conditional use permit. So that may further define and refine the design of the facility. So where would it be located? Basically one parcel in from Corporate Landing. Right here is General Booth Boulevard. Corporate Landing is more north-south. and that's the site called out there. This is a very conceptual site plan facility, and primary access off Corporate Landing and heading north to the signalized intersection at Dam Neck, and potential right in, right out access from a new road for Corporate Landing. In terms of schedule, we're pretty much on schedule for a third quarter 2024 opening, but what needs to be plugged in there is the city council review and approval. Happy to stand by with any questions you may have. This is a preliminary rendering of what the facility could look like, so it's an attractive facility with the maintenance occurring and well shielded in the back. So again, happy to stand by for any questions you might have.
Thank you, Brian. You touched on it a little bit. I mean, there's a clean energy component to this as well as the transportation component.
Yes, ma'am. So twofold. Number one would be the purchase of wind energy from the CVAL project, and Ms. Pappas indicates that they've been in discussions with Dominion about that piece. And then the other is the electric buses as HRT continues to increase their fleet. I believe they have 6 electric buses which serve Route 20, which goes from the oceanfront to the downtown Norfolk Transit Center. It's their busiest route down Virginia Beach Boulevard. I believe there's 6 electric buses that serve that, for example. And if you've seen them around, they're larger, they're very quiet, and obviously zero emissions. So that's the two components. And they also typically in their design of their facilities, whether they're LEED certified or not, they meet the intent of that criteria. Whether they have the paper or not, they meet that criteria. So that's the other component.
Thank you. Any questions for Brian?
You know, buses are really very important for our employees.
They really are. And this is a project, while we would be approving the letter of intent, it still, as Brian said, it's the land use piece of this still has to go to Planning Commission and City Council, and they'll, work to mitigate any potential impacts to the area from this particular use.
Madam Chair, the resolution would actually authorize the sale. We
Authorize
wouldn't
the
need to
sale.
come back on the terms as to set forth.
Got it, okay, so it would be, excuse me, I misspoke, it's on the sale itself. If there are no other questions for Brian, the chair will entertain a motion on a resolution authorizing the sale of approximately 11 acres.
I'll move it.
All of us.
Mr. Byrne, thank you. We've got a motion and a second from Mrs. Wood. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you, Brian.
We get the first free ride on an electric bus.
Change that.
We'll put you on the list.
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning.
Authority. We have a sign here on 635 Green Haven Parkway. However, we have Oceana West sign restrictions. So there used to be SunTrust, now it's Truist, so they're changing 13 signs. And so pretty much all the sign abide by the sign restrictions except the mounted sign. So it's an existing, they're only changing the face, and it exceeds the limit of the height by almost 2 feet. And since it's an existing one, and there are quite a few of them in there, they use the existing pedestal who's already increased the height in restriction and just change the face of it. So they're requesting a waiver for the height of the sign. The ground-mounted
They're not
sign.
building any new ones that go
No.
beyond.
They're just changing the face.
Do they need a variance too?
Yes.
So they need a variance from BZA and then a waiver from us?
Could we,
Well,
No.
They abide by the city regulations.
Okay, so it's
Fine,
just
as
our
long as-
requirements.
Yes.
Your requirements are occasionally more restrictive.
More restrictive.
can we request they change the name of the company?
I second that.
You don't like the new name, huh?
Wonder where they came up with that.
I don't know.
I imagine they spent a lot of money on
Oh,
that.
I'm sure.
Any questions for Isan? Sounds like a reasonable request. The chair will entertain a motion for approval of a side variance at Oceana West Industrial Park.
So moved.
Got a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you. Looks like you're up for the next item.
Church.
It's been cool.
We need to look at the disclosure.
This is my custom when I take the boys to baseball game, we're ready to train on Sunday.
Okay, so, I call it Seth Edwards map on the stormwater in Corporate Landing. Just briefly, the green area is pretty much grandfathered under the, drains north and grandfathered for quantity and quality. For up to 60% impervious and to the 2016 master drain study. The yellow one is drains to the east, and grandfathered we have existing Kimley Horn approved set of construction plans. And that cannot be constructed for future ponds. And the red is not grandfathered, unfortunately. And when I say grandfathered, they have to be constructed by June, Caitlin, June 2024? Or at least have like an ENS plan before construction. And the red part, unfortunately, it was not included in the drainage study of 2019, so we'll have to start pretty much from zero and abide by the new City of Virginia Beach storm regulations. Next. So we have a new set of plans, and because of all the developments happening here and letter of intent, and the light blue, so this light blue, this little chain, and this one, those were the approved set of plans. And because of this area here encroaches into the Evergreen parcel, so we had to basically remove this area from here and make storage elsewhere. It was a bit challenging because of all the option sale agreements that we have in place, the letter of intents. Next, we're playing with that, that's what we come up with. And for this really to work, we really need this easement here for this outfall pipe on the church, on the fellowship church. Next, so that's the church. Easements, so those are just details. And basically, so the existing church, this is gonna be the new B&B. This one, the outfall pipe easement that we need from the church. And this has been in the works for quite some years now to sell them this piece of land for their expansion. So it's about 3.1 acres of 200,000 acre. Giving them a credit for $140,000. This had been promised to them to assist them with the stormwater from our previous city manager. So we're still honoring the deal and we're proposing that to you.
And our benefit is we get an easement
Yes.
that we really need for this outfall pipe.
Or you would. So, like to move forward with the land purchase and the request of it.
All right, any questions for Isan? It's good to see that you are making progress on our stormwater plans for what to do at Corporate Landing, because I know we've got challenges just like businesses throughout the city.
We have a lot of developments very much waiting on this.
All right,
Move to approve.
we've got a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you, Isan. Next item is a request for approval of a resolution authorizing a sublease. And we've got Devin back up.
I'm presenting on behalf of the We're bringing to you the International Incubator. You can go to the next slide. As part of our strategy, we are in the 3 markets of United Kingdom, Spain, and Germany with expansion throughout Europe. These are some of the great benefits of Virginia Beach, but wanting to add a new benefit to our international companies relocating, making it an ease to relocate here into Virginia Beach. The thought through our international incubator is it will be an incentive to get some office spaces for companies that are really looking to have 2 to 3 offices here. Most international businesses begin with small U.S. sales offices before they really expand into the distribution and manufacturing. So starting small here with the International Incubator will help them grow within the city of Virginia Beach. We are going to partner with the Hive on this to make sure that our companies have access to the resources available to small businesses. Some of these companies will be small businesses here in the United States, but they actually are multi-million-dollar companies over in Europe and globally. Slide. These are some of the incubator terms, a maximum of 2 years. They will have access to a conference room, private entrance, and then this is in terms of the rent that they need. You can go to the next slide. Our first company that Taylor referred to from the United Kingdom is Chorus Intelligence. These are their disclosures. They are looking to rent space from us here in our office. There would be a sublease through you all with Tavares. This is a little bit about Chorus Intelligence. They are a UK-based company. They are a software company for law enforcement. Go to the next slide. This is a little bit of what they do in the UK and then where they are breaking into the US market here. Virginia Beach will be their North American headquarters based here in Virginia Beach. So our recommendation is approve the sublease of authority space to Chorus Intelligence. They would be our first company in the international incubator. Any questions?
This will be within our office space?
Yes, they will have a private entrance and it will be built out so to ensure they are not that we don't want them near us. I don't want to say it.
Your privacy.
Yes, there's privacy for the company and us as well. Sorry, my brain just. Any other questions?
How many spaces will they have available?
Right now, they're going to have 2 to 3 offices, and then they are, in the terms of the sublease, they will be able to get out earlier. We do know and anticipate that they're going to grow rapidly.
Will there be any other companies that will have
We have
access?
other companies that we did refer to in Taylor's presentation that are prepared to come into the international incubator as well.
My question is, how many companies can we accommodate in our space?
That's going to be fluctuating. We don't have the exact answer at this time. Right
You
now, we're
take that
probably.
one, Devin. Great job. At present, we can accommodate 2. We have other surplus space, not in this facility. I do think that it's worth talking about as we bring the Hive online. There are 3 large conference rooms. One of those could easily be configured to hold somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 modular units, which would give us the ability to expand.
Right.
But the goal of the program is basically to give people a soft place to land, get them stabilized, get them out.
Well, it's a great idea. I just hope we have enough space to have a lot of companies come in. It's a great idea.
So if this works, we think so, because what's great about this is, so we're talking about a company who's coming here for the first time, so it's an established company, you know, in whatever home country they're looking at, but not here. They're not gonna qualify for an EDIP. We wouldn't bring you, I mean, we'd be bringing you $5,000 and $10,000 EDIPs that don't make sense. This gives us, we think, a better road forward to induce those companies.
I think it's a great idea. And how soon would they be here?
They are in the community now, operating out of an apartment. So as soon as you approve this, I mean, assuming you approve this, October 1.
So the work will start and they'll be here in time for our October meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Thank you to Taylor and Devin. Any further questions on this item? Then the chair will entertain a motion to authorize a sublease of a portion of our space here at 4525 Main Street.
I'll move it.
Got a motion from Mr. Byrne? Second. Competing seconds. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Next item, Ms. Lancaster, we've got a request for approval of an EDIP.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. I will be presenting to you EDIP grant for Eastern Data of Virginia. But first, I would like to acknowledge and welcome our guests from Eastern Data. Lexia, Donna, and Donnie, the COO, thank you for coming. These are the disclosures. Give me a minute to read through those. Just a little about the company. They are headquartered here, currently at 563 Central Drive. They have been in existence for 35 years now, providing information technology services. The services include and range anywhere from project design to hardware, software, networking, and help desk. They work with local, regional, and national clients in public and private sector. And they also specialize in healthcare, retail, manufacturing, real estate, and insurance industries. They are looking to expand due to their growth. As I mentioned earlier, they're currently located on Central Drive, occupying a little over 6,200 square feet. They're looking to relocate to 2569 Forest Pasture Road and a space of 15,000 square feet. Again, this is an expansion and relocation of their headquarters. They will be leasing. It is a 5-year lease term. It sits on a little over an acre, well, almost 2 acres of land. Again, total square footage for the building is 15,000. This building was built in 2012 as I-1 zoning. And the anticipated completion date of this project is December this year. Capital investment in jobs within 3 years. Currently, they have 43 full-time employees. They look to bring on board 10 with a total of 53. Average annual salary, excluding benefits, is $45,000. Capital investment for real estate is $207,500. Machinery and tools, $20,000. FF&E, $60,000, which comprises of $287,500. The recommendation to the board is for EDIP grant for $20,000. This is pursuant to Part A of the EDIP policy. And it meets the criteria of C2 of the policy. Target industry sector is information technology and corporate office. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions from members? Sounds like a good project. The chair will entertain a motion for resolution authorizing EDIP Part A award.
So moved.
We've got a motion from Ms. Wood, and a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you. And thank you for expanding here. All right, next item of business, VBDA priorities. Taylor, do you want to talk about or did I miss somebody?
No, the only thing that I wanted to say for us is, I mentioned the Virginia Beach Hive in the presentation earlier. As you all know, this is a small business center that we've been working on for about 18 months and trying to bring on a small business center in the middle of the pandemic. Presented us with some real challenges. That said, we have reached the end of our process, and the grand opening for the facility is tomorrow evening. Because of COVID, we would welcome anyone who wants to attend, but because of the ongoing pandemic protocols and the spread of the virus in the community, we are trying to limit physical participation as much as possible. We'd be glad to have anyone who's willing tomorrow at 6 o'clock.
Okay. Thank you. Did you want to discuss the holiday?
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Are we going to celebrate the holidays?
So,
Suspend COVID.
So we continue to track the UVA model, and where certainly the model suggests that we'll see sort of the virus continue to spread in sort of a bloom in the next few weeks, but it does seem to but the model continues to show
a tapering in October. And so one of the things that we were unable to do last year was your annual holiday celebration. We would like to bring that back this year. Obviously, I'll add the caveat that assuming that it's safe to have the event. But we've heard from many of our stakeholders in the community that they missed it last year and would like for us to bring it back. So with your permission, we would like to begin working with the chair to plan an event. Most of you will remember that it was that our 2019 event was actually in the office. We got an abundance of positive comments about the event being here in the office, and it saved us about $10,000 worth of event space usage fees. And so we would recommend doing that again, just in an effort to be fiscally responsible. But obviously, we're open to your thoughts.
Any thoughts about celebrating the holidays?
We should celebrate.
Yes.
It's a great idea. The question just for me is the office actually not too tight if you bring the people in?
That's a good question.
So in this half of the office, we were able to accommodate about 200 comfortably last 2 years ago. That said, if the belief is that more than 200 would be in attendance, then we will need to source another location. But I mean, we're happy to go wherever you send us in that space.
So you're thinking distancing and.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, that is a.
Can you use private facilities?
I have to ask Alex on that one. I don't see why not.
For instance, the Cavalier has got an outside tent that can hold 300, maybe, I don't know how big, it's very big. Maybe that would be an option with heaters or something.
Sure.
The Christmas party.
We're happy. And so maybe at this point, the best thing would be for me to do a little research, have our team do a little research. And if you all are, if we're comfortable and supportive of having a holiday event, if you all would allow us, I'm happy to ask my team to do some research, and we'll work with the chair on potential venues and sort of come back at a recommendation next month, and sort of with sort of formal planning to follow immediately. Yes, ma'am.
Now, the Cavalier will take their tent down sometime in October, but Bayville has a tent.
Okay.
Because I've been to a Christmas party at Bayville.
So, yes, okay. And so we'll look at, they know what to do.
It sounds like yes for the celebration, and let's look at some potential options in case we're going to be too many for the space that we've got here.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's exciting that we might be considering having a holiday celebration this year. Any authority members have any
I'd like to mention that Taylor and I, this is not economic development, but everything is economic development. For many years, I've been on a Globability board of a travel magazine, and this year we went to Washington, and Virginia Beach won several awards, including Best Family-Friendly Beach Town. And Kiawah Island won, Savannah, and who are some of the other people that won?
So Savannah was there with us, Kiowa was there, but I mean also, so for example, there was an award that the Emirates won. They were on site to receive it, as well as I think American Airlines was a big winner that night. United was a big winner that night. That's exactly right. And so what's great is
Italy.
And that's right. So
That's great.
Visit Italy, or sort of their tourism group was. But what was great for us is it was wonderful, and not, thank you for bringing it up. It was great to see our city's brand positioned with what are considered global luxury brands and destinations. And so that was it was a nice evening for us, and it was selected, and these were sort of Reader's Choice Awards in many cases. And so it was great to be there.
We were in good company.
I'm proud of our city.
Very good. Well, that's another way to attract job seekers and residents. All right, any other comments?
I think that's our.
Very nice. I just had two. Congratulations to Laura Hayes and her husband Jared. And welcome to the newest member of the Economic Development Team family, I guess you could say. We're growing organically. That's one way to grow.
Kid is destined to be a developer.
I think that's probably the case. And also congratulations to Taylor and the team. I was able to attend a couple of the offshore wind events, but, you know, we had a rather large international offshore wind community in town for an event that really was later on in the week in Richmond. And the team was able to attract and to bring all of these players in that space to Virginia Beach, to show them the Brock Center, to take them offshore to see what Dominion and others are doing. And I think it sounds like there are a lot of exciting announcements to come from all of that hard work, and we appreciate it.
And I will tell you, 3 of those announcements are directly attributable to help that we got from members of this authority, so thank you for that.
Wonderful, and great job, and thank you again. We're looking forward to hearing more about that. Did you have any other, anything else to report?
No, unless I have forgotten something. Team, am I forgetting you? We're good, thank you.
All right, well then the chair will entertain a motion to recess into a closed session pursuant to the exemptions from open meetings allowed by section 2.2-3711A Code of Virginia as amended for the following purposes: prospective business or industry, discussion concerning a prospective business or industry, or the expansion of an existing business or industry where no previous announcement has been made of the business or industry's interest in locating or expanding its facilities in the community pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A5. Publicly held property, discussion or consideration of the acquisition of real property for a public purpose or of the disposition of publicly held real property where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of a public body pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A3. And contracts, discussion of the award of a public contract involving the expenditure of public funds, including interviews of bidders or offerers, and discussion of the terms or scope of such contract, where discussion in an open session would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A30.
So moved.
Thank you, Bill. We've got a motion and a second.
Second.
And a second. All in favor, say aye. I was looking at Vicki. All right, a voice vote on going into closed session.
David Byrne,
Aye.
William Brown,
Yes.
William Bronke,
Yes.
Taylor Franklin,
Yes.
Lisa Murphy,
Yes?
Mike Standing,
Yes.
Joe Strange,
Yes.
Junior Risenseal,
Yes.
Scott Wood.
Yes.